Hello, this is Howard Owens, publisher of the Batavian. Another live stream interview for you to help you be as informed as possible about what's going on with coronavirus in our community. And today we're honored to have Assemblyman Steve Hawley taking a little bit of time out of his busy schedule between being an elected official and a local businessman. So, Steve, thank you for joining us.
Howard, it's my honor, really, and we're keeping our fingers crossed, our toes crossed, and I'm washing our hands during this unbelievably difficult time.
So I know that you have a daily briefing with your colleagues in Albany. Tell us any new information, anything you can share?
Yeah, the call today, we have a call every day at 3 o'clock with the governor's office, Department of Financial Services, and the New York State Health Department. Today's call revealed the following: 6,448 cases, 37,258 confirmed in our area, the area that all of us live in, the 139th Assembly District. Orleans County has 2 positive. Genesee has 4. Monroe County has 139. Erie has 134. And Niagara 14, followed by Wyoming at 7. One of the notes, of course, is that in New York City alone, where my youngest son lives, I'm a little bit concerned for him, 51% of all of the national cases are in New York State. And in New York City, there are 21,393 in New York City. And so far in the United States, there have been 1,050 deaths. Local hospitals are being asked to call in if they need ventilators. The governor has indicated that he has in stockpile between 12 and 14,000 ventilators. So any hospital that's in need of anything like that and is asked to call the governor's office or call my office, and we'll relay this to the governor. So far, over 56,000 folks who have either retired or gone on leave, who the medical field have volunteered to help during this very difficult time, which is very heartening. We're still waiting on, of course, that federal bill that the House of Representatives is going to take up Friday that will have a great deal of financial aid for those hospitals and healthcare professionals, as well as for the state of New York and each of the states across the country. So that's the lowdown from today's conference call.
I appreciate that, Steve. So a lot to talk about there. Starting with I'll start back with the most recent thing you mentioned, the state aid. The governor's been critical that there's nothing for municipalities. Have you been talking about that? What's your take on the adequacy or inadequacy of the stimulus bill?
Well, during these kinds of times, I prefer to stay positive as you can. We're working with a moving target, a moving virus, a hidden enemy. And so what I'm urging folks to do is to give the federal government time to get this initial bill out of their houses, the House of Representatives. The president's indicated he'll sign it. Whether there's enough for the state of New York or Rhode Island or the state of Wyoming, this is the beginning. And we're hoping it's the beginning of the end of this crisis. We're hoping for the flattening of the curve. Of course, the president has indicated that he'd like to start resuming some normalcy by Easter. Whether that's an optimistic viewpoint or not, time will tell. There will be more bills to come out as this moving target is able to be looked at, and there are more givens and knowns to where we are and where we're going to go. So whether we're disappointed in the bill or not, I'm sure there are many folks from all across this country that are disappointed, but we're doing our best with a moving target, as I say.
as a small business owner, I'm sure, and you represent small business owners. You have clients who are small business owners, including me. I'm sure you're looking at those provisions. How do you think that's going to help those of us in the economic sector?
Well, it's a domino effect. Whether you have a mortgage individually, personally, whether you have a mortgage on your business, whether you have a payroll to meet, the income, the revenue that comes in may or may not be the same. And for many, many businesses, especially those small businesses under 50 employees like you, that could have an impact. Car dealers are shut down. The Department of Motor Vehicles is shut down. Banks are shut down. And so those individuals who fuel our economy by buying goods and services that need to have insurance, that's not happening. And so both the state and the federal government have indicated that there will be relief on the way in terms of credits, in terms of perhaps some pushback, of course, we know on the income tax, both at the state and national level. There will be no penalties or fees. So we're all hoping that whether you're a small or large business, whether you're an individual that rents or owns his or her own home, we're hoping that all of the folks and businesses that are involved, ancillary if they will be working with us so that we can get through this and back to what we should be, and that's America on the rise.
So, Steve, one of the things I've been doing every day is watching the governor's daily briefings, and we can see the massive amount of efforts that are going into this. And the governor's kind of the head of the state, but we know this is a big statewide effort. To just address, do you think, you feel like there's adequately being addressed at the state level?
Yeah, I'm heartened by the governor's frankness. I'm heartened by his approach. Most of the time, he is quite positive. We all need to be working together, regardless of political party, regardless of where we come from in this state. The folks down in New York City, the boroughs, are being hit hardest because of the closeness, as the governor said. When you're walking side by side or toward people or people behind you in a large metropolitan area, those folks are breathing the same air that is coming from behind them or in front of them, and that makes it difficult. So distancing is important. Washing our legislation in this budget, whether it's legalization of marijuana, whether it's the Article 23 that would take all home rule away from localities for green energy, if you will, turbines and solar panels. We need to have some home rule over what we want to have in our own neighborhoods. So I'm urging him not to do those things and put anything like that in there. He oftentimes likes to do that, but we're in crisis now, and we need to take...
So the screen stopped. I restarted it, but I'm going to start that question again. So the governor has said...
Okay, I didn't hear it anyway.
Okay. The governor has said that, we're all one state, and that if the hospitals downstate run out of capacity, patients will be sent upstate. And I asked Kathy Hochul about that today. She said, basically indicated that may not be necessary now that the Army Corps of Engineers has stepped in. There's other temporary hospital beds being set up. But I wanted to hear what you're hearing, and do you think that's something we should be concerned about, that potentially downstate patients are brought up into Western New York?
Well, I think that all of our fellow New Yorkers ought to be taken care of if they have tested positive for the corona. It's important, I believe, for them to be close to their loved ones and hospitals or medical facilities that have been set up. The governor has indicated that not only going to redesign the Javits Center, but that other triage type of setups will be occurring at the hospitals in Queens, which has the most of any borough positive tests, as well as Sinai and Manhattan. And as President Trump has indicated, we are going to have a naval hospital, naval ship, hospital ship right off of the shore. I'm not sure whether it's on the east side or the west side. So I think that if we're capable of taking care of folks from whence they live, that's the best for all concerned. I don't think travel to any place else is advisable. I don't think that's good for one's health. And so we'll kind of have to see, and we'll hope that's not necessary.
Well, I appreciate your time, Steve. We've covered a lot of ground and taken up a lot of your time already. Is there anything else you want to add? Anything we didn't cover?
No, I would just say to everybody, take care of yourself, take care of your family, take care of your loved ones, which should be synonymous, and heed the precaution. Keep that 6 to 10 feet distance. Wash those hands over and over and over again. And keep a positive attitude. And a good sense of humor will get you through an awful lot. So keep that good sense of humor, and if you have a relationship with God, certainly use that too. We'll get through this.
I appreciate that message, Steve. And one thing I always appreciate about you is you always got a smile on your face, and you're ready for a joke or to take a joke, sometimes at your expense. So appreciate your time, Steve.
That's
So it's Howard Owens, publisher of the Batavian. Thank you to Steve Hawley for coming on. Probably the last live stream interview of the day, but we'll try to get a couple more in tomorrow. If there's anything you need to know about, drop me an email, howard@thebatavian.com. Thank you very much.